Hey YouTube, Mike the Alpha Hoarder here. If you don't know me, I hoard and collect Alpha cards. And my friends and family think I'm a nut job, and so to prove them wrong, I came into my basement and started shouting at myself and recording it and posting it online. And I'm thrilled to have you join me while I do it. So, it's been a couple of days since I fed the hoard, and I can't go too long between feedings and my hands start to shake, so here we are. I mentioned in my last video that I'm a little under the weather. I think you can probably still hear it in my voice. I'm feeling a little better, but you know, probably should be sleeping right now. But I figure plenty of time to sleep when I'm dead. Life is too short and opportunities are too fleeting. Today I want to talk a little bit about dollar cost averaging and debt. Now, these are personal finance 101 topics, but I think it's good to revisit. So, in case you haven't noticed, I got some bad news. The markets are down. Whenever there's a hard decline like the one we're seeing now, there's three common reactions. One of them is to freeze. Don't buy, don't sell, don't make any sudden movements. Just wait it out. Another very common reaction that we're seeing some of is panic. It's all over. The fabric of reality is an illusion. Sell everything before it evaporates. And then the third reaction is the sort of contrarian / opportunist. And these are the people that want to do a real big swing, try to buy low, hit that big win if they can time the bottom. I happen to think that all three of those reactions are suboptimal, and figured I'd rant about it. Make sure I'm not going to cut any cards here. Good. So, what should you do during a downturn? Well, if you want the quick answer, it depends, and how the hell should I know? I am not your financial advisor. For all you know, I am a pair of disembodied hands running a text-to-speech program. So, distill and dismiss my thoughts as you find appropriate. But what do I think you should do? Well, my first question would be, are you in debt or not? If not, based on historical market cycles, the best strategy is to buy in to the market, the regular market, collectibles, crypto, whatever, using a dollar cost averaging strategy. So dollar cost averaging is a strategy that reduces your risk, and it does this by reducing your exposure to any specific price point. And the way you do it is very simple. You buy into the market on a regular interval with a regular amount of money. And that's it. This stops you from, being an opportunist hero who tries to go too heavy, which is really just a form of timing the market. And timing markets is not often fruitful. And it also there's an opportunity cost if you kill your liquidity too early, if you're trying to be the hero. And the reason it works is because as the market, say, is trending down, your cost basis is pulling down with the market. Each time you buy in, your basis is going to drop a little bit. And this is actually a good thing in the case that the market does keep going down, because it helps you realize gains much more quickly when the market recovers. The strategy also removes emotion, it enforces discipline, it keeps you from freezing or panicking. These are all good things. And it ensures that you're well into the market when there's a sudden recovery. And often recoveries can be quite sudden. Another jump. Can never have enough jumps. never know when you're going to have to jump. These are nice. This is a nice set today. One of my earlier videos, I posted that infographic that had gone around, but basically if you missed the 10 best days in the market over the last, whatever it was, 10 or 15 years, you missed out on the majority of the gains. And so dollar cost averaging is a good way to make sure that you are in the market. So as Warren Buffett put it, if you like spending 6 to 8 hours per week working on investments, do it. If you don't, dollar cost average and index funds. Ooh, look at these two ladies. So, how much should you invest each week? What interval should you choose? This depends on your cash flow, depends on your liquid savings, depends on your risk tolerance. You can allocate some portion of your cash flow, your income. This is how I do it. You can reduce your discretionary spending and add that, to your allocation. Another thing you can do is allocate some percentage of your liquid savings. Of course, depends on your financial situation. I wouldn't, recommend going into an emergency fund or anything, but suppose you have some money sitting around in savings and you've been looking for an opportunity to put a portion of it to work. Well, this could be an opportunity. Obviously, it's much higher risk than just allocating cash flow. But, money just sitting in an account, especially during inflationary times, is money that's slowly evaporating. So maybe it's wise to put some of that to work. That's a personal decision. Quite a stack here. I'll slow my rant down a little bit because I don't want to miss all the cards, but I don't want the video to get too long, especially because I'm not feeling super hot. Oh yeah, look at all these. Clean set today. So anyway, if you are going to draw on another liquid asset or, savings account or something, you're going to need to budget that in order to dollar cost average effectively. And, in order to do that, you need to have a sense of how long, you expect it to last. How long do you expect the duration of the downflow to be, the downturn to be? And obviously that's impossible to predict, but, just as you go. So personally, during normal times, all of my investing is coming from cash flow. A certain amount of my paycheck goes into a SEP, which is like a retirement account. A certain percent is going to crypto. A certain percent is going into my real estate company, towards towards a down payment account for purchases. A certain percent is going into collectibles. And in a downturn like this, I might choose some money from, another allocation or from savings to put to work. And, again, idle money is evaporating money. So, suppose you've got 20 grand in a savings account that's not doing anything, and maybe you're comfortable putting half of it to work if you feel like now is the time to be doing some work. Well, first you got to figure out how long you think the downturn is going to last. Back in January, when I was thinking this through, I kind of imagined we were looking at 6 to 18 months. So, we're about 6 months out from that already, but, I don't know that to be the case, but you got to pick a number to work with to budget. So suppose out of that 20 grand you've got, you're going to put 10 to work. You figure, let's call it 20 months. So on top of whatever cash flow allocation you're using, add $500 a month and dollar cost average with that amount. And that will let you carry through the downturn for at least that much time. So all that said, I actually think most of the people into MTG Finance, most of you guys watching the video probably, you are already the type to see a downturn as an opportunity to invest, I suspect. You know, this collectibles tend to be higher risk. And so, you know, if you're already less risk averse, you're probably ready to make moves like that. And, you know, the collective attitude, I think, of the YouTubers in the space that I've been watching is to buy something. You know, Rudy has said that in a couple of his videos. I'm opening this one up to the side just so the address doesn't show. Rudy has said that in a couple of his videos, you know. Buy something. Do something. And, you know, I will say that in other videos, he makes it pretty clear that he's talking to people who are not in debt. But I think that kind of hype and, you know, it leads to a bit of FOMO. It could lead to people acting a little bit rashly. So I just want to add one little bit to that buy something conversation. And that is, if you are in debt, if you have personal debt, then in my opinion, getting out of debt is a good priority, even during a downturn. Get yourself out of that debt before you try to chase rewards or opportunity in the market. Most dead anyway. Sorry, I'm trying to hold in some coughs here. Now, this isn't like a Dave Ramsey rehash or anything. As I already said, you know, none of this stuff, no financial stuff applies to everybody. It depends on your situation. It depends on your job stability, your personal savvy, you know, all that stuff. So take what you like from all this and leave the rest. But in my opinion, debt is a direct attack on your liquidity. Ooh. Ooh. Ooh, yeah. Oh, man. You know, I get, oh, man. Oh, yeah. I remember this set. So I get I get boxes in mail, and because I started doing these videos, you know, I look at the tracking number, so I know what stuff has arrived, but then I scribble out most of the addresses, I put them in a pile, and, you know, I get to them when I get to them. So if you're ever wondering why I'm surprised that I'm opening cards that I bought, that's why. I don't actually know which one I'm getting, and, you know, I actually do lose track of it. Oh, this was a big set. I remember this. Oh, this is a fun one. No tape. Home run. Sorry. My brain's still a bit foggy. I lost my train of thought. Oh, yes, I was saying why. I'm saying why I think getting out of debt is actually a first priority. So the thing about debt is that it follows you. If you lose your job, or you have some personal emergency or something that takes a bite out of your income or your savings or whatever, that debt payment is going to just keep coming out. Hold on, I got a cough. Ooh, sorry. I'll mute that out. Anyway, I mean, compared to, like, suppose you buy a car in cash. This is pretty nice, this Lions. Suppose you buy a car in cash. That car is going to depreciate. Buy a car in cash immediately, right? But it doesn't actually impact your financial situation when it does. Immediately, right? I love Gauntlet of Might. But it doesn't actually impact your financial situation when it does. I love Gauntlet of Might. This is such a cool card. Apologies, I got a couple of cuts in here to get coughs out of the way. I'm trying to keep it together. I'm almost done. I'm going to finish my rant soon. But If you buy a car in cash, you drive it off the lot, it immediately loses most of its value, right? But, sorry, that's an on-paper loss. It's not actually coming out of your pocket. Debt is different. Debt comes directly out of your pocket. And again, I bet everyone listening knows this stuff. I just think we don't spend enough time going through it, especially during the whole hype and FOMO stuff that's going on. But, if you've got $6,000 coming in a month and $2,000 in debt going out, say, $1,300 in a mortgage payment, $600 in a car payment, $100 in a credit card payment, that looks fine on paper, You're netting $4,000 a month, but what happens if you lose your job? You can cut back your spending, but you can't cut back that debt payment. And how long can your savings account withstand a continuous hit of $2,000 a month with nothing coming in? Without debt, if shit hits the fan, you can at least float, hopefully. You got a chance of floating. If you have debt and shit hits the fan, you need constant upward pressure or you immediately start sinking. So let's just look at a couple quick specifics and then I'll wrap this up. So the worst kind of debt is credit card debt. Credit cards are, say, 15 to 25% APR. Maybe, a 2% a month minimum payment for some of them. Something like that. So here's another way to think about debt that I find helpful. This is a loved soul ring. Nice nonetheless. As much as I love the near mint stuff, there is also something about played copies. It's like it's carrying its history right on its border. Very cool. Suppose you owe $2,000 on an 18% APR credit card with 2% a month minimum payment, something like that, right? So if you spend $1,022 a month, you will pay off that card, including interest, in 2 months. You'll be $2,045 out of pocket. Nice and simple so far. Instead, suppose you pay the 2% minimum over 5 years. You will be out of pocket $3,047. Ooh, nice. Oh, come on with the tape. It is bizarre to me how many people do this. Anyway. So, spending $2,045 now compared to spending the minimum payment over 5 years saves you $1,002. That is an effective ROI of 48%. Or if you want to look at it over 5 years, that's a 9.7% locked in ROI for 5 years. Now, obviously, it's a loss mitigation. It's not quite the same as a return on investment, but it comes to the same thing, right? If you are in debt, that loss of money is coming at you like a freight train. And if you can spend less money now to clear that, it's the same thing as realizing a return on an investment and then using that return to offset, the full loss of an unpaid card, say. So, in my example, $3,047 is coming out of your pocket unless you do something to mitigate it. And so to me, that's a helpful way to look at it. You can put $2,000 to work now and end up $1,000 ahead of where you would have been in just 2 months. Show me the market where you can beat that on the same $2,000 investment. And that's not counting, now that you saved that $1,000, you could redeploy that over the next 5 years into something and see a return on that. So, obviously the percentages and the totals and how quickly you pay something off, there's no one size fits all. I said that a couple times. But, you know, for my money, I am paying off credit card debt before I'm trying to make moves in the market, before I'm trying to take advantage of, say, a downturn. And it's because I'm going to get a better return by putting my money to work in that way. So, another very common form of debt is car payments. Car loans are usually between, say, 2 to 15%. It's going to depend on your credit score. And a car is a liability, not an asset. It's losing value all the time, like we said before. And so not only is the interest eating you, but you're not actually going to see the principal returned at any point in the future. So there's nothing in the asset itself to offset the loss to interest. And so once again, especially at higher interest rates, there is an effective ROI to just get out from under it. Ooh, I like this card. Tape over the top, painter's tape I can handle. I don't get quite as worked up about it. But I still prefer a pull tab. There we go. So, anyway, I keep saying that I'm, you know, it doesn't apply to everybody. I'm oversimplifying a bit. You know, if you're a finance guy watching, you know, don't tear me up too badly in the comments. My main point here is just to remind people that some of the basics of personal finance still apply, you know, despite some of the excitement you might hear, or people, you know, telling you that there's this opportunity, that opportunity. I mean, those statements might be true. Those, you know, there are opportunities. You know, now is an opportunity to make moves, especially in collectibles, you know, crypto, all these things. But that's not a reason to throw personal finance stuff out the window. So, you know, the last thing I wanted to talk about is mortgages. Mortgages are more complicated, I would say. First of all, because hopefully a property that you got a mortgage on is an appreciating asset. So you get your principal back plus the appreciation over time. So you got that working in your favor against the interest. The other thing is, the other thing is the interest rates on mortgages in recent decades have been pretty low. You know, 3 to 6% kind of thing. And under normal inflation rates, so, you know, not current, but under normal inflation rates over the course of a decade, you know, that inflation is basically eating against the interest. You can make a good argument against paying off a mortgage early if you compare, say, what your return might be in a market versus what you save on the interest. But I actually think this whole question is better addressed from a risk tolerance point of view instead of a maximum ROI point of view. So consider it this way. Paying off a, say, 4.25% mortgage early, you can look at that as a guaranteed 4.25% ROI on your money. Now, historically, markets beat that long term. But markets are not guaranteed, not even a little bit. Just look at the present market. And that is also the reason for the difference. The higher risk you're willing to take, the higher reward you could potentially see. And the lower risk you want to take, the lower reward. Prepaying a mortgage is going to be extremely low risk. And so, you know, the more modest returns of 4.25% are the reason, you know, come along with that. But it's locked in, and that's the key. You know, paying off a mortgage is like buying a bond. It's one of very few allocations of capital that are damn near guaranteed. I don't want to say guaranteed because nothing is. You know, there are scenarios where bonds can lose you money, especially when inflation is skyrocketing. If you're prepaying a mortgage and then you foreclose on the property, well, there goes your guarantee. But, you know, on the whole, as far as investments go, it's pretty damn guaranteed. So, you know, that doesn't actually answer the question of if you should. You know, is it a good idea to lock in a 4.25% return on your money long term? Or is it a good idea to take a greater risk, but maybe not a huge risk, just a greater risk, put that money into the market or whatever and try and realize larger returns? But I think you can see why the answer to that is not which is better. It's what's your risk analysis. And of course, you know, that analysis needs to account for compounding and amortization and, you know, all this other fun stuff, but you get the idea. So, what should you do during a downturn? Summarize. If you are in debt, non-mortgage debt, personally, I'm getting out of that debt first before I try and take advantage of market opportunities. A lot of nice cards today. I was ranting a bit too much to look at them as much as I should have. Make sure you have your emergency fund and all that stuff set aside. I like to think that all goes without saying. Then, run your own risk analysis. If you've got a mortgage on a property, run your own risk analysis. Do you prefer the pseudo-guaranteed return that's much lower, or do you prefer taking on more risk and potentially realizing more returns? And only when you've gotten through those steps of the analysis should you then step up and start buying. And when you're buying, you're going to dollar cost average into whatever market using either a portion of your cash flow or a carefully budgeted portion of your liquid savings. And that would be my advice on how to handle a downturning market. Thanks for watching the video. If you liked it, consider baking a cake and giving it to a stranger's dog. See you next time.